Welcome back, fellow pilots. Here we are in part 2 of our IFR communication lesson. I want to teach you all how to fly IFR, what to say, and how to do it. If you watched the first video, you know that we just departed midway. There it is, midway, and I have just contacted departure 128.2. Departure told me, they said, Baron 10 Charlie Whiskey, turn left on course, direct Watsu, climb and maintain 4,000. Here's what they mean by that. They want me to climb up to 4,000, obviously, and they want me to turn left and go direct to my course to Watsu. Here's where Watsu is. So right now in the world, I am just circling around here, and I am coming to Watsu, which is down here, and I was told to maintain 4,000. So that's basically all it is. This is where we are with our general structure. I have just finished talking to approach, and now I'm about to start my wire checklist. Let me show you how to do that. First thing, you're going to get the weather at Gary. How do we know how to get the weather at Gary? Well, go over to your approach, click on Gary. You can get some information from their airport diagram, and it says here the ATIS 13457. Let's punch that in. 13457. I'm going to punch that down here on the second column. 13457. There it is, 13457. Alright, let's see if we can get that come. There it is, Gary Import Information Golf. Not great weather up here. 1,200 feet scattered. 2992. They're using ILS runway 30. Runway 30. Okay, that's all the information I need right now. So we have just done the first part of our information. Sorry, just done the first part of our wire checklist. We have the weather. Now it's time to set our instruments. Set the gauges, altimeter, gyros, GPS for the approach, checked fuel, and the gauges. All right, so let's do a quick check. Make sure everything's looking pretty good. I don't have to go super full power here. I'll throttle back just a little bit. Engine's looking good. Fuel quantity is good. I've checked that my icing systems are all set. Everything's looking good. Alright, great. Now, I have already set up the approach, but let me show you. Oh, wait. There we go. Forgot to turn on my altitude reporting. Sorry about that. Alright, let me set up my procedures. I will select the approach. There it is, Gary, ILS 30 from Watsu. Fantastic. There it is. Enter. It's time to activate this bad boy. Big wheel over. Activate. Great. Now this should take us right to Watsu if it does this right. And so I go over to the other MFD. It's going to be getting us all the way around to Watsu. So now that is the I on the wire checklist. I have got my weather. I just set my instruments. That was the altimeter, gyros, and GPS for the approach. I've checked the fuel and the gauges. Now it's time to tune those radios. Tune and ident all radio frequencies. The ILS, the tower, and the ground. Here's how I get this information. Over at Gary, I can pull up the approach plate. I know that I'm going to be using ILS runway 30 approach, so this is the approach plate. This is the recipe that I'm going to use. The first frequency I need, 10875. I've already gotten the ATIS. I'm on Chicago approach right now, 1331. I'm actually talking at 1282. That's another idea, but either way, I'm talking to approach. Gary Tower, 1256, in ground, 1219. All right, so let's set those frequencies. 10875. That is a localizer frequency, which means that goes on the other side here. 10875, and sure enough, it's already identified for me. That's India, Kilo, Golf, Yankee, Yankee. India, Golf, Yankee, Yankee, and there it is. India, Golf, Yankee, Yankee. That's what I'm listening to right now. Fantastic. So I'll tune that in just a second. Also want to find Gary Tower, 125.6. Let's punch that in. That's going to be over here on the comm side. Big wheel, 125.6. Come on, come on. Got lots of scrolling to do. You can see why you want to do this well ahead of any kind of flying. I've got the autopilot helping me out on our way over there. Okay, 125.6. 0.6. Okay, so my frequencies are set. I have identified this. I've got my tower ready to go. If I'm really going to be good, I'm going to set the ground frequency. The ground here is 121.9er, so I'll put that on COM2. Generally, I put ground frequencies on the bottom, and I put air frequencies on the top. So ground 0.9er equals 1219er. Did I say that right? Yes, ground 0.9er. If ever you're not sure, and there's plenty of times that I'm not sure, always look at the approach plate and check. Okay, ground 0.9er is set, and I flipped it over. So now it's time to finish the the in-route brief, because I just finished tuning and indenting all of my radios. I've got the ILS tuned and indented, I've set tower, and I've set the ground. All done. Time to brief and fly the approach in my mind before we get there. I like to trace it with my finger. So before we arrive, we're going to know all the headings, all the altitudes, and all the missed approach procedures. This is so important because if I didn't have the autopilot flying for me right now, I would be so busy doing everything. I would be hand flying this, and it would be really a lot of work to do everything that I'm doing. My altimeter is reading a little high, but I'll fix that later. So here's what we're going to do. Let's pull up that approach plate and let's talk about where we're coming from. We're right now right over Chicago Heights coming down this way. I'm going to basically turn left, intercept the localizer. That's the radio beam that's shooting down this runway. I'm going to be no lower than 2,300 until I'm established. The minimum safe altitude in this area is 3,400, 2,800 if I'm coming from that side within 25 nautical miles of CGT. So I'm going to swing around, probably descend to 2,300, intercept the localizer, and I'll take it all the way down. Alright, so here we are just about to intercept the localizer inbound at Gary. So this is where I get a big radio call. They're going to say, Beechcraft Baron 10 Charlie Whiskey, turn left heading 330, vectors for the intercept. ILS runway 30. Cleared for the ILS 30. Maintain 2,300 until established. Whew, that is a big approach clearance. But what I need to do is basically turn left, and I'm going to try to intercept this radio beam that is outside Gary. Sure enough, I see it coming in alive right now. So I call localizer alive. If I don't turn faster, I'm going to miss it. So I'm a little outside of that. Let me show you a little bit of about where I am. There's a radio beam that's shooting right down this runway, and I'm trying to intercept that beam right now. And I need to read back my clearance. I will say November 10 Charlie Whiskey, cleared ILS runway 30, maintain 2,300 until established, and turn left heading, what was it, 330. So that was basically my my landing clearance, or my approach clearance. Let me continue getting a little to the left. Let me teach you a little bit of a trick on this CDI too. On this course deviation indicator right here, if I put my heading right on top of that, so wherever this is, it will generally start to vector me in to intercept that. So you can see I'm a little right of course right now, and that's going to start to bring me in. Let me give you a quick sense of where we are on the approach plate. So I just turned like this, and I overshot a little bit. What I'm trying to do is turn myself back on to intercept localizer runway 30 at Gary. How low can I go on this approach? Well, that's all the information over here. I'm allowed to get down to 791 feet if I'm doing a straight in ILS runway 30. So we'll use 791. And then if I have to do a missed approach here, I will turn left and then hold at Chicago Heights. That's basically it. Alright, waiting for my localizer needle to come back in. Slow myself down to approach speed. And now is a good time. Hey, there it is. Now is a good time to set my autopilot to approach mode. So now, hopefully, it should intercept that. Come on, approach mode. Come on, approach mode. No, it's not listening to me. So I guess I gotta do it manually then. Oh well, that's too bad. I've got my glide slope coming in right now. So what this means is I guess I gotta do it manually. Set my vertical nav. Dunk. Set that down. Oh, it's really not listening to me. Vertical speed down, I'll use about 500 feet per minute. I am having the autopilot fly this, but normally if I had the approach mode on, it would be listening to it. So now I gotta get to the right a little bit because I'm off course. That beeping that you're hearing is the outer marker. Ding, 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 ding. And then the minimums are 791, so we'll set this to 800. This is why it's so important that you brief the approach beforehand. I'm a little behind the airplane now, and I'm starting at a descent. This is not a good situation to be in, behind the airplane. Put my flaps down. Put them down a little too fast. There we go, localizer's coming in. So I wonder if the problem was I didn't set the nav right. We'll see. A little above glide slope. Let's see what it looks like out there. Oh, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. Need to get down a little faster, so let's nose down just a little bit. Glide slope's coming in. At the top of the descent, I like to put my gear down, so I'm a little late on that too. A little more nose up. I'm descending too quickly. My goal is to keep that right in the center. And then this is about the point when they would say, Beach 10 Charlie Whiskey, contact tower, good day. And I already have the tower frequency all fired up, so I switch it over. And then I say, Gary Tower, this is Beach 10 Charlie Whiskey, short final, runway 30 ILS. And then they'll clear me to land. They'll say, Beach 10 Charlie Whiskey, you are cleared to land, runway 30. They might tell me what the winds are too. And then I'm coming up, I got 200 feet to go, 791 are the minimums, everything is looking good. At minimums I will turn off the autopilot and land. Close enough, autopilot is off, time to land this bad boy. Now because I'm landing at a towered airport, I don't have to manually cancel my IFR clearance. They will do that for me. If ever I'm landing at a non-towered airport, I'm responsible for canceling my IFR clearance. Alright, 3 green, props full forward, mixture's rich, boost pump should be on, and I'll set the flaps to full. Whoa! I don't know what that was all about. Jeez. Yeah, that pitching motion was weird. I wonder if the autopilot didn't totally catch on. Alright, don't judge me on the flying, but the procedures I thought were pretty sound, everyone. So as I taxi off into the grass here, I hope this video was helpful to you. Go ahead and leave any comments or questions you have below. Fly safely.